Hi everyone and welcome to Dimitras Dishes. Today we're going to be preparing penne pasta with olives, pesto sauce, and grape tomatoes. It's another really great example of how vegetarian dishes can be really delicious, especially when you're making them Greek style. So I have a pot of water boiling and I'm going to begin by adding my penne pasta. I'm going to add a pound. So this dish can literally be made in under 30 minutes. So we're going to cook the pasta for about 8 minutes on a high flame. We don't need that. I'm going to salt the water generously. So it's like about 3 tablespoons or so. And I also like to pour a little bit of olive oil in there so that way they don't stick. I'm going to mix that all up. And my flame is really weak, so I'm going to let it come to a boil again, and then I'll set my timer for 8 minutes. I don't do anything without my timer. Okay, in the meantime, let me show you the ingredients, what we need. I've already prepared pesto sauce, and you can get that recipe on the sidebar. I have a video on preparing pesto. It's super easy, super simple. I make mine with walnuts and basil and cheese and a lot of other really good ingredients. I have some Greek feta cheese that's been kind of broken up, some chopped olives, they're Greek Kalamata olives, pine nuts, a little bit of garlic, and some grape tomatoes. You can use cherry tomatoes, grape tomatoes, whatever you like. So I've already heated up my cast iron skillet, and it's really hot, and some olive oil is already in there on the bottom. I am just going to cook my tomatoes over a high heat until they get sort of wrinkly. And that's just going to take a few minutes. I'll put a little more olive oil in that pan. Cast iron skillets work great for this. They give a nice little kind of like a char, and they do it really quickly. So it's a good investment to make. Okay, so my pasta is coming to a boil. While that's happening, it's just going to be really quick. I'm going to chop up my garlic. So I'm going to add a little bit, there's already garlic in the pesto, but I'm just going to add a little more garlic once my tomatoes are almost done cooking. You don't want to add the garlic together with the tomatoes because it'll burn, and then burnt garlic just has a really yucky flavor. But garlic that's cooked nicely gets really flavorful and soft and aromatic and adds a lot of good flavor to your dish. So my pasta is boiling. So while this is happening, I'm just going to step away for a second and set my timer for 8 minutes. I want to leave my pasta al dente. I don't want to overcook it, and sometimes if I don't set my timer, I forget about things. So let me set my timer and I'll be right back. When I'm at the restaurant, I literally wear my timer as a necklace. So I'm going to lower and I walk around with it because we cook 5 trays at a time in the oven, and it has happened in the beginning where all 5 trays have burned because I was outside talking with some guests and got carried away and forgot about whatever was in the oven. So I like to work with a timer. I'm going to put a little bit of salt on my tomatoes. You can finely mince your garlic or just rough chop it like this. Okay, the tomatoes are starting to look really nice. They've gotten a little bit of a char on them. They're starting to release some juices too, and that's going to add a lot of flavor to the pasta. So this is a really nice and easy dish, and it's really versatile too. So if you don't like feta cheese, go ahead and substitute goat cheese, Parmesan, even mozzarella if you want to make it really cheesy and stringy the way mozzarella gets. You can do that. You know, you're making it to suit your own palate and your own preference, your own flavor preference, so make it however you like. I love Greek feta cheese. It has a really nice creamy texture and it's really tart. The olives are really also going to add a nice punch of flavor. They're really nice. The brine from them is going to complement everything really nicely. Okay, so these are starting to break up. I don't want to overcook them. So that's it. I'm going to shut my fire off. Actually, I'm not going to shut my fire off. I'm going to add my garlic to it. And just let the garlic cook for a little bit. Maybe a minute or two more. I'm also gonna season with some freshly cracked pepper. And you could absolutely eat this dish as is. It's a main course menu, but if you have some leftover chicken, you could go ahead and add that in there. Shrimp goes really nice with this. It could be a side, or really like utilize your leftovers and get creative. So the garlic is starting to brown. I'm gonna shut the fire off. My pan is gonna continue cooking it a little bit. I don't want it to get a dark brown or even too brown, because then garlic tastes really bitter when that happens. So I'm just gonna leave this, take it, remove it from the heat, and put it on rest it on my cutting board, like that. And I have about 5 more minutes for my pasta to finish boiling. I'm gonna take about a cup of the liquid out. 3/4 of a cup should be more than enough. And I'm gonna reserve it so that way when I mix everything together, when my pasta is drained, it'll add a little bit of moisture to it and make a little bit of a sauce when I add the pesto. So my pasta is almost done. I'm gonna strain it, and then I'll be right back to put it all together. Okay, so I've strained my pasta. It's completely done cooking. Now I'm going to add all of my ingredients. So I'm gonna put in my pesto sauce. Pesto, I made it with basil and walnuts, Parmesan cheese, some garlic. It's really, really flavorful. A great way to use up basil, especially if you grow it and you have lots left over in your garden at the end of the summer, or if you just grow a whole bunch, make it and freeze it. And you can make lots of delicious recipes with it. I'm gonna put in my chopped up Kalamata olives. Mix it all up. I'm gonna save my tomatoes for last because they've already cooked and they've pretty much gotten really, really soft. So I want them to be whole. If you can see how beautiful they look, they've wrinkled up a little bit. My garlic is cooked in there. I want them to be whole. I don't want them to get all smushed up in here and kind of like fall apart. I've toasted my pine nuts. Toasting nuts brings out their flavor like to the maximum. So you want to toast nuts anytime you add them in here. You can leave the pine nuts out. I don't have pine nuts in my pesto, which you definitely can make it if you want to have walnuts in there. If you don't like pine nuts, leave them out. I like them for the added crunch that they add. I'll add all of my tomatoes with my garlic and the oil that they cooked in there. Don't want to waste any of this goodness. There we go. Like that, that's done. Wow, that's heavy. I'm just gonna mix this all up, add my liquid in here, my reserved pasta liquid. I'm gonna mix this all up. I'll season it with a little bit more black pepper. I'll taste it for salt. I salted the pasta while it was cooking. The brine from the olives is a little bit salty, and the pesto sauce is also flavored really well. So I don't want to put too much salt in it. That's why I'll taste as I go. Let me see. Needs a tiny bit more salt, not a lot. I'm still going to add the feta, which is also pretty salty. So I'm going to crumble some feta on here. And that's it. It's all ready. Let me show you what it looks like when I put it in the plate. Look at that. I have some basil growing in my garden. I'll just go take a leaf off and just kind of put it over there in the middle and decorate it. It'll be even more pretty. Look at that. You cannot go wrong with this. Make this any night you're in a hurry to prepare a beautiful meal for your family or for guests or anyone. I would even drizzle a little bit more olive oil on this. Some cold pressed extra virgin olive oil. really healthy and delicious. Serve this with some nice crusty bread as it is, or grill up some chicken or shrimp, whatever you want. Go on www.dimitrasdishes.com, get this recipe and more, and leave me some comments so that way, let me know. Take some pictures of some of the stuff that you've made that you've learned from me. Leave me some comments, some things that you'd want to learn. Ask me questions. I check it and I get back to everyone as early as I can. So happy cooking, everyone. See you next time. Bye.